Okay, let's unpack this. We are about to dive into the truly astonishing 7-decade-long career of an actress. I mean, her filmography is just a masterclass in professional contradiction.
It really is.
She started out looking like she'd be this, serious, prestige, dramatic star. She got an Oscar nomination before she could even legally rent a car.
Right.
Only to then kind of intentionally pivot into becoming one of the most beloved and, frankly, instantly recognizable comedic character actors in modern history.
Yeah, we're talking about Carol Kane, or Carol Kane as we know her professionally. And when you look at her sources, that trajectory, it seems almost illogical, doesn't it?
Totally.
But maybe strategically brilliant. So our mission today is really to trace that jagged line of success from the really raw, gritty drama of 1970s film through her Emmy-winning comedy reign on Taxi and right up to her current renaissance, where she's holding court as this eccentric New York landlord and now unbelievably serving as Starfleet's chief engineer.
That's the whole arc we're trying to chart here. We've pulled together her biography, her detailed filmography, basically everything we could find to understand how she built this really singular, unique persona.
Yeah.
We need to dissect those pivotal moments, How did she move from those intense dramatic roles? Why did that Taxi pivot actually work?
Right.
And crucially, how did her signature characteristics, that voice, the physical presence, become her superpower? Especially when we know from the sources she personally kind of wrestled with those exact things.
It's really a deep dive into longevity, isn't it? How does an actor survive the industry's need to just categorize you, especially after a major award for high drama?
Exactly.
Well, Kane sort of solved that problem, didn't she? She basically created a new category entirely. One defined by maybe authenticity and a complete refusal to just settle into one single genre.
Okay, so to really get the dramatic heights she hit so early, we have to start at the beginning. Carol Kane, born June 18th, 1952, Cleveland, Ohio. Jewish family, roots across Russia, Austria, Poland. But her childhood seems less defined by one place, more by creative energy and just constant movement.
Yeah, it sounds like an extremely mobile and, intellectually stimulating upbringing.
Yeah.
Which probably prepared her perfectly for a flexible acting career, right? Her mother, Joy, was apparently this huge creative force, a jazz singer, teacher, dancer, and pianist.
Wow.
And her father, Michael Kane, he was an architect. And because of his job, she moved around a lot, gained exposure that, honestly, few American kids back then would have had.
Yeah, the sources mentioned living briefly in Paris when she was only 8, started learning French there, and then Haiti at age 10.
Right.
That kind of international experience, so young, it must have fed into the cultural sort of acuity and the linguistic skills she showed later in her roles.
Absolutely. Adaptability was just built in. Then her parents divorced when she was 12. She was sent to Cherry Lawn School, a boarding school in Connecticut, until 65.
Oh.
But the creative training kept going. She was studying theater at HB Studio, attending the Professional Children's School in New York City, so very focused early on.
And here's where it gets kind of remarkable how early the professional rigor kicks in. This wasn't some slow build. By 14, she already had her SAG card and her Actors Equity card.
Incredible.
That says so much about her precociousness, the intensity of her early training. Her professional stage debut was 1966 in the prime of Miss Jean Brodie.
Just think about that tagline for a second. Professional career starts in 66. She's basically a child, but operating at a fully professional level.
Yeah.
And that foundation, in stage rigor, understanding the long-term demands of performance, that's going to be key to her durability later.
Yeah.
Especially when we talk about her decade in Wicked.
Definitely. So when she moves into film, it's like immediate immersion in really intense, heavy-hitting drama. Such a stark contrast to the persona we mostly know today.
Right.
Started with minor roles in 71, like desperate characters, Mike Nichols' Carnal Knowledge. And that Carnal Knowledge role, apparently, is how she first befriended Jack Nicholson.
And she immediately seemed drawn to complex, often quite raw characters. Her first leading role, 1972, was in a Canadian film, Wedding in White. She played a teenage rape victim forced into marriage.
Wow, heavy stuff.
Yeah, not light material at all. Then she worked with Nicholson again in Hal Ashby's 73 classic, The Last Detail, playing a young sex worker.
And the Al Pacino connection starts early, too. They knew each other from the New York theater scene, right?
Exactly.
And she gets cast as Jenny, the bank teller, in Sidney Lumet's, explosive 1975 crime drama, Dog Day Afternoon.
She was just building this incredibly rapid-fire filmography alongside the absolute giants of the new American cinema. And all of this really set the stage for the role that kind of cemented her early reputation. Joan Micklin Silver's 1975 film Hester Street.
Ah, yes.
She starred as Gittl, a young Russian Jewish immigrant arriving in late 19th century New York, struggling desperately against her husband's drive to just, rapidly assimilate.
And the role required her to speak partly in Yiddish,
Right.
relied entirely on her conveying that desperation, cultural displacement, emotional resilience.
Really?
The critical reception was just deafening. Her performance as Gittl earned her an Academy Award nomination for Best Actress at the 48th Academy Awards.
Yeah.
She was incredibly young, barely 23, standing alongside acting legends, and it's still her only Oscar nomination. And the sources also tell us Hester Street holds a really special place for her. She's called it her favorite role ever.
It's the absolute pinnacle of early career recognition. But the irony here, the real turning point in her whole story, is what happened next.
Right.
Kane herself recounted waiting about a whole year, for her next significant role.
Right.
She theorized the industry just didn't know what to do with her. Now she was this critically validated, serious, dramatic star, maybe too intense for conventional roles, too easily typecast as that tragic immigrant figure.
So she was basically frozen out by her own success.
Kind of, yeah. That's how she seemed to feel about it.
So that year-long pause, that fear of being stuck in high-stakes drama forever, that's exactly what drove the single most strategic, defining pivot of her whole career. The full-on embrace of comedy.
Yeah, it really looks like it.
She seemed to choose actively to dismantle the dramatic star image she'd just built.
It feels like a conscious choice, right, to find a different way forward. She actually credits Gene Wilder's 1977 film The World's Greatest Lover with helping her discover and realize that her unique cadence, her physical presence, it translated perfectly into comedy.
Interesting.
She realized she could use that same intense focus she brought to drama, but just channel it into humor instead.
And the comedic filmography starts almost immediately and successfully. She was in Woody Allen's iconic 77 film Annie Hall.
Right, playing Alison Porchnick, Alvy Singer's intense, kind of demanding first wife.
Yeah. She quickly cemented her place in that sort of emerging wave of quirky, character-driven comedy.
It is worth noting, though, there was that brief detour into genre film, which, ironically, relied on her dramatic intensity. Before she became known almost exclusively for comedy, she was in a couple of horror films, including The Mafu Cage in '78, and, much more famously, When a Stranger Calls in 1979.
Oh, yeah, the call is coming from inside the house. She played Jill Johnson, the protagonist, right? Plagued by those infamous phone calls.
That's the one. And the fascinating bit of trivia here, which really speaks to the intensity of that early dramatic work, is that she is apparently profoundly averse to horror films. She admitted she could never bring herself to actually watch When a Stranger Calls after starring in it.
No way.
Yeah. She convincingly portrayed that sheer, existential terror, but couldn't process the finished product herself.
That's wild. But the real transformation, the thing that made her a household name and really cemented the shift, that was Taxi.
Absolutely Taxi.
Yeah.
Running from 1980 to 1983, she joined the cast to play Simka Gravas, the wife of Andy Kaufman's character, Latka Grau.
And Simka was just a masterpiece of characterization. She spoke this fictional, invented language, but with a really distinct, sort of vaguely Eastern European or Slavic accent and cadence. And this brings us right back to Hester Street, doesn't it?
Exactly. The sources suggest she herself theorized that her meticulous work speaking Yiddish in Hester Street was a direct factor in her getting cast as Simka.
Ah, makes sense.
The producers knew she had the technical skill to master difficult linguistic inflections, whether they were real or completely made up.
Right.
Simka's character needed incredible focus and commitment to a non-existent dialect. She was leveraging the same theater-trained rigor she applied to Yiddish.
And that on-screen dynamic with Andy Kaufman was just electric. We know Kaufman was, well, notoriously unconventional in his methods. How did their different work styles actually mesh to create such believable chemistry?
She actually offered a really insightful take on their dynamic. Kane, the theater purist, loved rehearsal, believed preparation created freedom.
Okay.
Kaufman, coming from stand-up and improv, famously disliked structured rehearsal, often seemed to loose until the final take.
Right.
Kane believed this difference in process actually enhanced their believability as a married couple. They were perfectly mismatched. Her intensity, his chaotic genius kind of balancing each other out. And crucially, she always emphasized their loving, professional relationship on set, which clearly translated into Simka and Latka's deep, if very quirky, affection.
And the result was just indisputable proof that her comedic pivot worked. She didn't just survive the genre shift, she totally dominated it. She won 2 Emmy Awards for Taxi, Outstanding Lead Actress in a Comedy Series in '82, and then the next year, Outstanding Supporting Actress in a Comedy, Variety, or Music Series in '83. Those awards didn't just recognize the role, they pretty much permanently redefined her career as specializing in comedy.
And with that foundation laid, the 1980s just saw her become the go-to character actor for any role needing a touch of the fantastical or the, eccentric.
Yeah.
In '87, she appeared in that infamous Warren Beatty and Dustin Hoffman flop, Ishtar.
Oh, Ishtar, right.
She played Hoffman's frustrated girlfriend, which kind of shows that even in a critical misfire, she was sought after for her unique comedic voice.
But the truly enduring role of that decade, maybe second only to Simka, has to be The Princess Bride in 1987.
Oh, absolutely, Valerie.
Playing Valerie, the nagging but somehow loving wife of Miracle Max, played by Billy Crystal. That one role is just pure cinematic gold.
It really is.
Forever cementing phrases like, have fun storming the castle into the lexicon.
And what's fascinating about Valerie is how she uses her physicality, her vocal cadence, that high, breathy delivery, the frantic hand gestures, perfectly integrated into the fantasy setting. But if Princess Bride showed her range in pure fantasy, then Scrooged in 1988 showed her range in physical comedy.
Right. In Scrooged, the Bill Murray take on A Christmas Carol, she played this contemporary, really aggressive, tiny fairy version of the Ghost of Christmas Present.
Yes, it was a complete departure, required wire work, explosive energy, and most famously, wielding a toaster as a weapon.
She totally stole the show in that.
She really did. Variety magazine specifically singled out her performance, called it, and I quote, unquestionably the Pix comic highlight.
Wow.
That kind of specific, immediate critical praise just solidified the wisdom of her comedic pivot. She kind of wrapped up that period playing Shaldine, a potential love interest for Steve Martin's character, in the 1990 ensemble comedy My Blue Heaven.
So once she was established in the 90s, Carol Kane really demonstrated the true benefit of that early stage rigor and her unique persona. Just constant work across all mediums.
Yeah, she was everywhere.
She was a regular on that short-lived NBC series American Dreamer from '90 to '91 and kept up a steady guest presence on iconic sitcoms like Seinfeld in '94.
Oh yeah, playing Corinne.
And Ellen in '96.
This period is really defined by her ability to just slip seamlessly into established worlds and make an immediate impact. We see this especially in the high-profile replacement roles she took on.
Right.
The biggest one is probably 1993 for Addams Family Values.
Yeah.
She stepped in to play Grandmama Addams, replacing Judith Molina.
Which was such a perfect fit for her eccentric style. And it gave her that wonderful professional reunion with her Taxi castmate Christopher Lloyd, who played Uncle Fester.
Exactly. These career links, they really underscore the loyalty she seems to maintain within the industry. And she was also willing to return to her defining work. She made that cameo as herself, reprising the Simka character in the 1999 Andy Kaufman biopic, Man on the Moon.
That's a smart move, right? Acknowledging and leveraging the legacy she created.
Absolutely. But while she was building this TV character actor reputation, she also proved she hadn't completely abandoned the deep, complex, dramatic work that started her career.
How so?
She had that notable, recurring dramatic guest role as Gwen Munch, a victim's advocate who eventually becomes a murder suspect on Homicide, Life on the Street, back in '97.
Oh, I remember that. That was intense.
Yeah. And that character, Gwen Munch, was apparently deemed so compelling that she reprised the role years later on Law & Order, Special Victims Unit.
Really? When was that?
In 2009 and again in 2013, which proves that casting directors, producers, they recognized her ability to deliver those intense dramatic performances when the material called for it. They resisted just pigeonholing her as strictly a joke teller.
That's great. Yet, maybe the greatest demonstration of her professional commitment, her sheer rigor during this period, was her massive, decade-long commitment to the Broadway stage in Wicked.
Oh, Wicked.
This was a sustained, incredibly demanding engagement.
It's so vital we analyze this as proof of the enduring value of her early theater training. Playing Madame Morrible, the evil headmistress, that requires immense vocal stamina, physical presence, the ability to project across huge theaters 8 shows a week. That is physically and professionally taxing work.
And her her commitment to that role was just incredible. This wasn't some celebrity stunt casting that lasts 6 months.
Not at all.
She played Madame Morrible across numerous productions from 2005 all the way to 2014. That's nearly 10 years sustaining one character.
The list of her runs is just staggering.
Mm-hmm.
Started with the first national tour in 2005, moved to the main Broadway production in 2006, then shifted to that substantial run in the LA production from 07 through 09. Then she followed the company to the San Francisco production in 09, and then returned to the Broadway company again from 2013 to 2014, specifically to be part of the show's 10th anniversary.
That kind of longevity and commitment in one demanding stage role, it's really the antithesis of the typical TV guest star career path.
It really is.
It demonstrates that underneath that eccentric persona is just an intensely rigorous professional actor who truly values the craft.
And she didn't limit her stage work just to musicals either. She made her West End debut in London in 2011 in a revival of Lillian Hellman's drama, The Children's Hour.
Oh, wow.
Starring alongside Keira Knightley and Elizabeth Moss, again, using serious dramatic stage work to flex those muscles. And she returned to Broadway in 2012 in the revival of the play Harvey.
So as that decade of Wicked was wrapping up, she moved back into consistent, high-profile recurring TV roles, including her appearance on Ugly Betty in 2010 as Justin Suarez's acting teacher, Lena Korvinka.
Right, and significantly, from 2014 to 2016, she had that really notable recurring role as Gertrude Kappelput on the Fox series Gotham.
Yes, Penguin's mother.
Exactly. It was this beautifully nuanced, heightened, dramatic role. The doting, suffocating Hungarian-born mother of Oswald Cobblepot.
Mm-hmm.
That role allowed her to use her unique linguistic and emotional intensity in that heightened, dark comic book universe setting. It showed she was still the perfect choice for complex character pieces, even then.
Okay, so the rise of streaming platforms seems like it provided the perfect habitat for Carol Kane's very specific brand of character work, launching her into what feels like her modern renaissance.
Yeah, definitely.
And this era is really defined, first and foremost, by Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt.
Absolutely. Her role as Lillian Kashtupper, the eccentric, fiercely anti-gentrification New York landlord.
Yes.
It became one of her longest and most globally beloved television roles. Running from 2015 to 2020, she was initially recurring, but got promoted to series regular in season 2. Appeared in, 42 episodes?
Lillian Kashtupper is maybe the ultimate distillation of the Carol Kane persona, isn't she?
I think so.
She embodies that New York eccentricity, political fervor, a slightly manic energy, all delivered with that signature high cadence. It felt completely tailor-made for her.
It really did. But the sources point out that loyalty was actually key to her joining the show.
Oh, how so?
She joined the cast specifically because she admired showrunner Tina Fey. She revealed she'd actually tried to collaborate with Fey before on 30 Rock.
Ah, okay.
Kimmy Schmidt finally provided that perfect opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
And the longevity of the role, the chance to reprise Lillian in the 2020 interactive special, Kimmy vs. the Reverend, it just confirms how vital that character became to the show's success.
And this modern period is also really characterized by these reunions that demonstrate the strength of her professional bonds. It proves she's been this deeply consistent, probably pleasant presence in a pretty tumultuous industry.
Yeah, you see that thread. She appeared in Jim Jarmusch's quirky horror comedy, The Dead Don't Die, in 2019.
Right.
Which brought her back together with Bill Murray, her co-star from Scrooged decades earlier. And then, the really amazing one, the 45-year reunion with Al Pacino.
Working again with Pacino in the ensemble cast of the Amazon series Hunters from 2020 to 2023, she played Mindy Markovitz.
Yeah.
That's nearly half a century after their first collaboration in Dog Day Afternoon. That is an incredible testament to her enduring place in Hollywood.
It really is. She also reunited with her Kimmy Schmidt castmate Fred Armisen in the HBO series Lost of Spookies in 2019.
And the sources show she actively participates in maintaining that legacy, too. In 2020, she took part in 2 major high-profile cast reunion fundraisers,
Right.
One with the Taxi cast and one with the Princess Bride cast. These events really highlight how much she values those classic projects that defined her career.
That's great to see.
Now, we absolutely need to discuss the role that truly broke new ground and kind of shattered all expectations of where a comedic character actress in her 70s might go next.
Starfleet.
Ah, yes, Star Trek.
In 2023, she joined the cast of Star Trek, Strange New Worlds as Chief Engineer Pelia.
Yeah. This is a massive, high-profile pivot into the science fiction genre, a world she had never really seriously entered before.
It really is. And the trivia around this casting is arguably as important as the role itself.
Which is?
Prior to her casting announcement, Carol Kane had apparently never watched a single episode of the original Star Trek series.
Get out. Seriously.
Seriously. And this isn't just a fun fact. It speaks to the writer's vision for the character Pelia.
How so?
Well, the sources confirm she mentioned that the show's writers actually thought this oversight improved her performance.
Huh. Why?
Because Pelia, who's an alien of the Lanthanite species, is supposed to be quirky, eccentric, and bring a completely non-traditional energy to the Enterprise bridge.
Okay, I see.
Her lack of knowledge allowed her to play the role with her natural, uninhibited eccentricity. It ensured Pelia wasn't just some reverent imitation of past Starfleet engineers. She simply became the Starfleet version of Carol Kane.
That's brilliant. And while she's traversing the galaxy, she simultaneously circled right back to her deepest cultural and artistic roots in 2024.
Right, with Between the Temples.
She starred in Nathan Silver's film Between the Temples, playing Carla Kessler, a woman who, raised secularly, decides to have a bat mitzvah in her 60s.
And this role provided such a rare opportunity for her to draw on deep personal history for the performance. She apparently drew inspiration from the director's own mother, who studied for a bat mitzvah late in life, and also her own mother, who moved to Paris at 55 to become a musician. That whole thread of late-life reinvention is really powerful there.
And the acclaim for this performance was huge. It demonstrated her dramatic abilities are just as sharp as ever. She got the New York Film Critics Circle Award for Best Supporting Actress in 2024.
Wow.
And was nominated for an Independent Spirit Award. So 50 years after her Oscar nomination, she's right back in the critical conversation for serious character work.
That's incredible. And the full circle moment is still coming, apparently. She was announced as part of the cast of Darren Aronofsky's upcoming 2025 film Caught Stealing.
Oh, yeah.
Or she's slated to play a minor role, Bubby, spoken entirely in Yiddish.
No way. Back to Yiddish.
Exactly. It closes the loop straight back to the linguistic grounding and cultural depth that fueled her start in Hester Street.
Yeah.
It's an incredible testament to her longevity and versatility.
So her career reveals so much about her professional intentionality, but her personal life seems to show that same commitment to just living authentically. We noted her relationship with Woody Harrelson back in 86 to 88,
Right.
which shows her moving within those influential circles.
And the fact that they apparently remain close friends. Harrelson attended her 60th birthday party in 2012 that speaks volumes about her professional character, fostering genuine, enduring connections.
Yeah. But perhaps the most telling insight into her intentionality comes from her choice regarding family. She's never been married, never had children, and she addressed this with real candor, stating she never felt, quote, calm and stable enough to be the kind of mother she'd want to be.
That statement is pretty profound, isn't it? She didn't just view motherhood as some automatic destiny. She added that incredibly refreshing observation, I don't think everyone randomly is mother material.
Right. It's such an intentional choice, reflecting the dedication she clearly poured into her highly nomadic, intense professional life.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And while she chose not to have her own children, she has embraced a familial role. She's taken on the role of grandmother to the 4 children of her goddaughter, actress Bianca Hunter.
Oh, that's lovely. It shows a commitment to nurturing relationships outside of the conventional structure.
Exactly. But we absolutely cannot conclude this deep dive without analyzing the single feature that defines her more than any role.
Yeah.
And that is her voice.
Oh, yeah.
It's the core mechanism of her entire persona.
That high, breathy, and distinctively slow vocal delivery, sometimes it edges toward a raspiness, especially as she's gotten older. It is instantly recognizable. It's been the comedic engine for pretty much every quirky character she's played, from Valerie to Lillian Kostoper.
And the irony is, the sources tell us, she dislikes it intensely.
Yeah.
She confessed to People magazine in 2020 that she wished her voice was deep and beautiful and sexy. Yet the industry has basically commodified and weaponized this very voice.
But if we connect this back to her craft, we see how she used that same voice dramatically, too. In When a Stranger Calls, that high cadence translated into genuine, quiet terror, right, heightening the victim's vulnerability.
Good point.
But then in Scrooged, it became manic, volatile, and funny. So it's not just the pitch, it's the control she has over the tempo, the emotional texture.
That's true. The voice became her brand, her signature, her permanent calling card. It's what allows her to jump from the dark chaos of a New York street in Dog Day Afternoon to the deck of the Enterprise. The sound of Carol Kane instantly establishes the character as singular and unconventional.
And despite any personal reservations she might have about her vocal characteristics, her cultural impact was recognized pretty early on. Right in the middle of her biggest comedic run, late 80s, she was inducted into the Ohio Women's Hall of Fame in 1988. Wow.
Which underscores how quickly she transcended simple character work to become a real cultural figure. Hashtag tag outro.
So what Carol Kane's, 7-decade career ultimately shows us is the power of strategic reinvention, but rooted in really disciplined practice. She started with intense, award-nominated dramatic rigor, then strategically pivoted into Emmy-winning comedy. She demonstrated her foundational stage capability playing Madame Morrible for a decade solid, and now finds this renewed modern success by translating her distinctive persona into roles like the beloved Lillian Kaushtupper and, the surprising fresh take on Starfleet's chief engineer Pilia.
Her entire journey is really a study in converting a potential weakness, like the risk of typecasting after high dramatic success, or even disliking her own voice, into absolute strength.
Exactly.
By owning her unique, highly specific mannerisms, she created a brand so strong that the industry couldn't really pin her down. Instead, the industry kind of adapted to her. Yeah, that feels right. And we see her career completing this incredible circle now, receiving modern critical acclaim with the New York Film Critics Circle Award for Between the Temples, 50 years after her Oscar nom, and preparing for an entirely Yiddish role in Caught Stealing. It's this return to the cultural and linguistic specificity that launched her career, but now viewed through the lens of immense, diverse experience.
So, as she simultaneously embraces her cultural roots with the Yiddish film and breaks new frontiers in Star Trek, Strange New Worlds, as a Starfleet engineer who knows nothing about Star Trek, it raises this final provocative thought for you, the listener. If her career trajectory proves anything, it's that authenticity might be the ultimate long-term career strategy. So if you are an artist or really any professional who fears being pigeonholed, is the greatest move not to fight the stereotype, but maybe to fully embrace the most distinctive, unique aspects of your identity. And then use that highly specific platform to launch yourself into entirely new, unexpected professional galaxies.